two things happening in this talk. I'm talking about non-duality, and then I'm also talking about tidying the cage as well. I always swore off talking about tidying the cage, but so many people come here just wanting to tidy the cage a bit. They don't really want to wake up. They don't really want to lose everything. They just want to be happy enough to do their daily activities without it being stressful. And for those people, it's not appropriate to answer with non-duality. It's a waste of my breath, even though there can't really be a waste. Can you guys all hear me okay? I'm in one of those quiet, zony moods again. So what happens when separation happens is it's this energetic pull that happens inside the body. And there is this sucking into inside the body, and it feels like that's where you are, that you are this person. And it's not even conscious, it just feels like there's something inside here. And this something, it doesn't know it, because it's like if there's a fan on, when it's not until you switch it off you realise the release without it on. But this energy always feels agitated, like it has to get somewhere or do something. It never feels happy with what's happening. And this can be really subtle, and it's even though it's a slight form of suffering, when it's very little, it's very bearable. When there's a very little contraction there, and very little seeking, it's very life is good. You describe the body-mind mechanism as a balanced body-mind mechanism when it's like that. When there's a lot of enjoyment of what's happening, but there's still a separation, but there's less needing of things for happiness. All unhappiness, all suffering comes down to this contracted energy that then believes it has to find happiness in the flow of life. And this is all suffering. This is where suffering comes from. And the people that suffer the most are the ones that have the biggest contraction and the strongest contraction. And then when they have the strongest contraction, they're more desperate to get things. And they need things. But in a way, sometimes that contraction is so tight, it's too hard to do things. So they're kind of stuck in it. Sometimes the contraction gets really, really strong before awakening, because in a way it has to get really strong to question what it is. And it becomes really obvious, and sometimes I think that strength, that strongness of the contraction is the energy releasing in a way, or the energy changing. But there isn't really someone separate that can do anything, but there can be the movement of a seemingly separate person that's tidying its cage and it's improving things. So it improves its lifestyle, it improves its eating, it improves its conditioning, it releases emotions and relaxes into itself more. And this becomes a more happy, balanced body-mind mechanism. And that sense of separation becomes less, but it's still there. What can happen, which isn't a doing and isn't something that you can unwind to, it's mysterious how it happens, but there can be a total collapse of an inside and outside world, and then all that's left is stillness as movement. But this is a total loss of everything. It's the loss of relationship, it's the loss of you and me, it's the loss of any desire to make anything better. So all your dreams and hopes and ambitions can disappear, although they can still be doing and stuff happening. There is nothing that can complete you more than this instant. There's nobody there that needs anything. The body moves towards survival, so it moves towards eating and drinking and socializing, most probably, those sorts of basic things. But there's nothing that could give it any more than this. This is all there is. This is total freedom, but it's really radically different from being someone. What the someone's used to is always having goals, ambition, and doing things, and working towards things. And in itself, that has an element of fun to it, an element of drama to it. to be able to see yourself as something going somewhere and energetically feel that. But it also can come with great weight, because the more that you seek, the more you suffer. The more that you have that sense of seeking, the more uncomfortable you feel, because you have a greater lack, a greater sense that this isn't enough. That separate energy pulls everything in to be itself. I am this body. I am my relationships. I am my ideas. I am my love affairs. I am my actions. And it's always comparing itself to the outside world to find itself. I'm better than this person. I'm worse than this person. I love this person. And that separate self always tries to stay in thinking rather than feeling. It finds the feelings, the emotions overwhelming, and it's scared of them. So it's always trying to talk itself out of feelings and stay in the head area. The more and more this happens, the less and less happy the person becomes. And this can be undone. The separate self can seemingly undo a lot of that weight. It can't free itself to this instant, because who would be free in this instant? It can't undo itself, because who would be left? Who would be undone? In a way, you could say that part is total mystery. But while that person feels like it's in control, I'm happy to talk to that person about improving things. But my love is really talking about non-duality. And the question is who is sitting here right now? Who hears my voice? Who's looking at the screen? Who's sitting in the room? It's so radical. Via said, please can you say something about promises made to God when I thought I was a person? Now I realize life is unfolding, there is no choice, or the promise of the promise is broken. Now I realize life is unfolding, there is no choice if the promise is broken. I think that's how we should read. Yeah, there's no choice. Where does choice come from in every moment? We think it's us. We think we're choosing. But how are we choosing? How do we look now? We say, that's us, I'm looking. How do we move this hand? How do we think? How do we speak? How do we feel? That's me. I'm feeling. I did it wrong. I did it right. How did any of that happen? Who's doing it? If it's followed back, but who even follows it back? So if it is followed back, there's nothing there which is doing it. There is this radical aliveness which has been sucked inside this body, this awakeness, and it feels like, that's who I am, I'm somebody inside this body. But actually that awakeness is everywhere. There's never an outside of awakeness. You never get outside of awakeness, aliveness, this knowing, this instant. All there ever is this instant. And in this instant, actions and thoughts and ideas appear, but nobody does them. It feels like, because of the sense of self that says me, he, me, and energetically feels like that, that there is something separate inside the acting, but really there isn't. This movement of the hand is happening in the same way the birds sing, the same way in which the light falls on my skin, the same way in which the heart beats and the eyes look and the nose breathes. It's a total mystery, but yet it's the closest thing there is that's creating. The creator is you, but not you as a person, not you as anything, you as a total mystery. It is the essence, but not anything that feels like you. All of that stuff comes and goes. Comes and goes and comes and goes like an ocean. You sit here and you look at me and you think I'm talking to you, but I've never said a word. These words are coming out of this instant. We can look at the patterns of Lisa and say, oh, she said this because of the last moment, blah, 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 blah. That's how it appears, and we don't need to deny that. But actually it's appearing out of this instant. There is nobody that ever screwed up life. Life is way more clever and intelligent and boundless. When you believe it's you, such suffering comes about. When you believe you're in control of your life, then there's so much suffering that there possibly is. You have all these ideas about what you did wrong, the shame, the guilt, the blame, the pride, all the things that other people have done to you. You're a victim to someone. You're a victim to life, to emotions, to feelings. And the pride where you think you've got something. You think you've got money or you've got a whole house and you think that's yours and that you're safe. It's okay. There's nothing you need to be. You're so used to doing. Even sitting here, you want to speak to me and me to speak. Because you're afraid of the silence. There's nothing to be afraid of.